Okay, Joe, during this conversation, a lot of stuff that you speak of are things that are iconic moments in hip-hop history, okay? Damn, I have to ask you, did you feel like y'all were doing iconic shit at that time, or was it just another day in the studio? And then with your hindsight being 2020, do you think y'all could have even did it any better than y'all did it and changed the game? Or was this just, you know, like the movie said TLC meant to be?
Right. I think it could have been better.
Oh!
Let me tell you why. Because, like, some of the instruments, you know what I'm saying, the guitar and bass, there was, like Uncle Eddie was a beast on bass. Like, that was the top. Face was good on guitar, and Mike Dean was pretty good on guitar, but there was other guitar players that was super
that was
dope.
funky as hell.
Right.
Yeah.
And but we just stuck with the crew. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And we put it together and it came out great, Exactly. But yeah, those moments, to answer the question, I mean, that was the greatest moments, what I'm saying?
Being in there with Scarface though too, they put him in the GOAT category across all coasts. So, I mean, did you see that in him when he was laying that stuff down? Did you realize that, hey, man, these lyrics that this nigga's coming with are going to make him the greatest of all time?
Bro, first of all, I was a fan of Scarface.
Okay.
I was a big fan of Scarface. I used to try to rap like him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to hear him over my tracks was just, it was almost unreal. I couldn't believe that, like, I was working with him, and then when he'll take the track, and then I'll hear it when he come in the studio and lay it out. I'm like, man, how does dude put these lyrics together like this? Like, man, the way he talked, the way he constructed the lyrics of it, and like the way he told the story, man, was like no other.
Yeah.
And every time you get in that vocal booth, man, I just smile and be like, man, I can't believe this is happening like this. You know what I'm saying? So that was the experience from my angle.
When you think of Smile, you got to talk about Tupac and Scarface as well. I mean, can you talk about Tupac being around in the studio at the same time?
Well, I was only in the studio with Tupac one time, and it was a crowd of people in there, and I was playing beats. And man, Pac had a song for every beat that I played, a full song, right?
Damn.
Full song, and I'm like, man, get him in the vocal booth, get him in the vocal booth, you know what I'm saying? But everybody was just having fun, and I was more of a stickler, like, man, just let him go in the vocal, because he was ready.
Exactly.
He was ready. Everybody was like, man, he was ready, bro. It was like, yeah, we'll get with him or whatever, and then I think a couple weeks later, he was killed.
What went through your mind when you saw that?
Man, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't believe it. It was just like, I knew the beef was going on, but I didn't think it was go into that. I thought it was just going to be on some, like, yeah, man, my bad, whatever. I thought whatever, but I never thought it would end in murder. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I came from that, man, like from New Orleans. Like, I grew up and it wasn't great out there, you know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up around, and you know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, it broke my heart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It broke my heart, bro.
Working with Face, they got you a lot of critical acclaim to the point to where you go back to New York and they all know your name.
Yeah.
What was that like when you came back there and then it was a different Endo Joe touching down?
Right. So when I went there the first time, right, I was Joe Cool.
Okay, Joe Cool.
Right? And then when I went back there, so from what I like, Puffy, they called me to do some songs on Biggie's album. But I guess they called the wrong number. Right? They couldn't get a hold to me or whatever. But I had met Puffy during that time at the Uptown days when he was actually throwing parties and stuff. So I was back and forth out there in the mecca of like hip hop, like with Tribe Called Quest. I saw him, in the park. You know what I'm saying? Like performing, the energy level was crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But with Face, man, going back to Face, he was just like one of those artists, man, that was just, bro, it gave you chills when he was rapping, and the tone of his voice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It sounded like somebody daddy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man.